Now coming into the last part of surface chemistry, that is, we will start emulsion. Now what is an emulsion? You can see it on the screen. An emulsion is a colloidal dispersion in which both the dispersed phase and the dispersion medium are liquids. Alright, both the dispersed phase and the dispersion medium, they are the liquids, we can say that. Clear? So as a result, what you find is that the two liquids involved are otherwise immiscible. Now remember it is not going to form a solution. Like suppose you will take what you can say like alcohol and water, they are soluble, so that's not an emulsion. That's not an emulsion, we can say that. Clear? So emulsion is of different types. Here you need to understand that the two liquids should be immiscible, so I have written in bracket for that particular reason. Alright, now what you find is that emulsions are being prepared, got it, they are prepared from the pure liquids. And they are usually not stable, mind it, they are not stable. Alright, suppose if you prepare an emulsion and if you leave it for some time, if you allow it to stand for some time, what you find is that they get separated out, the two liquids get separated out. Alright, the two liquids separate out, the one which is immiscible, they get separated into two layers. Now remember it, to get a stable emulsion, small quantities of certain other substances are added during preparation. Small quantities, what are those known as? They are called as emulsifiers or emulsifying agent. Hence the substances thus added to stabilize the emulsions are called emulsifiers or emulsifying agents. Now the common is very simple. Emulsifying agent is nothing but is a soap of various kinds. Different types of soaps are there which acts as an emulsifying agent. It can be also proteins, gum, agar agar, you have read it, agar agar, got it? So that is in electrochemistry, I have studied it. Or lyophilic colloids or long chain of sulfonic acids, they act as an emulsifier. Now they act as emulsifier. What I said to you, emulsifier, emulsifying agent, what it does, it stabilizes the emulsions. Emulsions are what? They are colloidal dispersion of what you can say two liquids in which one is the dispersed phase, another is the dispersion medium, but the liquid has to be insoluble, immiscible. Insoluble I am saying, they should be immiscible. Now the question you can ask me, sir, what is the role of emulsifier here? Okay, understood. Emulsifier stabilizes the emulsions. But how? We need to understand it better. Okay, I am explaining. The role of emulsifier can be explained by taking the example of a soap, let us say. You know soap are what? Soap are sodium salts of higher fatty acids like sodium palmate, sodium stearate, sodium olate. Alright, sodium stearate is C17H35CONa, sodium palmate is C15H31CONa, sodium olate is C17H33CONa. We can say that. Clear? Fine. So what you find is that if you see the soap, I have discussed with you earlier, one is the hydrocarbon part in the soap, that is here we can say C15H31 or C17H35, there is a hydrocarbon part which is what you can say hydrophobic part, which is soluble in oil. Hydrophobic, hydro means what? Water, phobic means hating, it hates water, it is soluble in oil. And the other part which is COONa, it is a polar group which is soluble in water, which is the hydrophilic part. So you need to understand a soap consists of hydrophobic part, hydrophilic part. Hydrophobic part is the alkyl group, alright, and the hydrophobic part is the salt, we can say that, CONa part, we can say that. Now if a drop of oil is surrounded by a soap solution, let us say you are putting a drop of oil and we are having a soap solution surrounded by a soap solution, a drop of oil, got it, because oil is going to float over water, you know that. Clear? So the alkyl part, the alkyl group, the hydrophobic part of the soap remains in the oil, and the CONa part, which is water loving hydrophilic part, remains in water. You have seen it, this part I have explained to you in the soap formation. The soap molecules are concentrated over the surface of the drop of oil, they are concentrated, isn't it? As a result, now here you need to understand, as a result, the interfacial tension means, interfacial means the two layers which is being developed, or the not two layers, rather I said two phases. One is a soap phase which is surrounded by the oil, isn't it? Clear? So that is called interfacial tension, not surface tension. It is interfacial tension. Between oil and water, it decreases. Alright, and hence they are intermixed into each other to form the emulsions. Alright, what I said, the alkyl group is dipped into the oil, hydrophobic part, and the CONA part is dipped into the water, hydrophilic part. So the soap molecule, here you need to understand, the soap molecules are concentrated over the surface of the drop of oil. They are getting concentrated. So as a result, the interfacial, the tension which is there, got it? Tension means the force between the oil and the water decreases, and hence they are intermixed into each other. And also time to time you just stir it also, isn't it? And they form emulsions. Rather I should say micelles are formed, that is an aggregate molecules are formed between the soap and the, what is that? That is oil. Clear? So in this way they act as a stabilizing agent. The same phenomena takes place when you take proteins or gums or agar-agar. Means you will be taking oil which is surrounded by the protein molecules. Alright, the same phenomena. Alright, same results it happens. I hope you understood what is the role of emulsifier here. Now next is here, that is what you find. Next is here is that we are having the type of emulsion. Alright, the type of emulsion we are having, that is oil in water emulsion, which you can see it is written as O by W, in which the oil is a dispersed phase and water is a dispersion medium. Got it? Example is your vanishing cream. We are putting in the winter, got it? That cream in our faces, on our faces, of course. So in this way, the next is your water in oil, in which water is a dispersed phase and the oil is a dispersion medium. We can say that. Water is a dispersed phase, you can see it on the screen. Water is a dispersed phase and oil is a dispersion medium. Now example is your cod liver oil is an example of water in oil. Other examples are your butter and cold cream. See, vanishing cream and cold cream is a different thing. Alright, it's a different thing. So in this way, cod liver oil is a type of oil. We are using it. That is for the babies. We are using it. Even it is also used for what you can say, cooking also. We can say that. Clear? And other example is butter and cold cream. That is, you know it definitely about it. Butter and cold cream. I did not have to say about it. So these are the two types of emulsions. We can say that. Oil in water emulsion and water in oil emulsion. So basically emulsion, again I repeat, it is nothing but colloidal dispersion in which both the dispersed phase and dispersion medium are liquids, we can say, but they are immiscible. Got it? Clear? Now next is, we'll come to the test of emulsions. Now there are various tests are there. Microscopic method is there, conductance method is there, dye method is there. Several methods are there. But I have discussed with you the dye method, which is our most simplest one. What you will do is that a small amount of an oil soluble dye, dye means what? Color, is added to the emulsion. Alright, oil soluble color you will take it and you will add it to the emulsion. If it is water in oil type, it becomes deeply colored. See, it is written there on the screen. You can see the screen. Otherwise it remains colorless. Otherwise means if it is not water in oil, if it is oil in water, then it is remains colorless. That's a very simple method. Just you need to put a drop of oil soluble dye color into the emulsion and you need to see what is happens. If it is deeply colored, that color only becomes deeper. It is water in oil type. And if it remains colorless, it becomes colorless. That means it is, now what you can say, oil in water type. Very simple in this way. Now the properties of emulsions, if you see, emulsion exhibits all the properties. I have written it there on the screen: the Tyndall effect, the Brownian movement, the electrophoresis. Apart from that, coagulation on addition of electrolytes. All this what is being shown by the colloidal solution. Emulsions can be separated into their constituent liquids also by boiling, we can say, by freezing, by centrifugation, got it, and electrostatic precipitation, got it, we can say that. Clear? That is electrophoresis. Otherwise we can say by adding large amount of electrolyte to precipitate out the dispersed phase, got it. In this way it can be done. So example is that I can give you, the separation of cream from milk is a well known example of centrifugation. You have studied in the lower classes the process of centrifugation, where you separate the cream from the milk, isn't it? So that's a well known example, you know that, isn't it, of centrifugation. So these are the properties of emulsions: Tyndall effect, Brownian movement, electrophoresis, coagulation, addition of electrolytes, and so on. We can say that. Clear? Now The process of separation of the constituent liquid of an emulsion is called demulsification. Alright? If you want to separate the constituent liquid, now till now we were talking that they will mix each other and they will form emulsion. Now you want to separate it. I have told you also that if you don't add the emulsifying agent, then what will happen? The two liquids will be separated in layers. It will become unstable. Alright, because emulsions are generally not stable. By adding emulsifying agent only it becomes stable. I have explained you the role of emulsifier also. Now here I am saying the process of separating the constituent liquid. You want to separate the constituent liquid. The two layers, the dispersed phase and the dispersant medium. Then what is that process called? Demulsification. That is said to be as. Got it? That is known as demulsification. Clear? That phenomena or the process is called as. Now, if you that is go to the application of the emulsions, the uses. Why do we study emulsions? Alright. So, we will see that in metallurgical process, the concentration of ore by Froth flotation process is based upon the treatment of the powdered ore with an oil emulsion. Alright. The Froth flotation process you have studied. In Froth flotation process, what we take is that we take a tank. Alright. We take a mixture of pine oil and water that acts as an emulsifying agent, and we add the ore to it. Alright, the ore gets concentrated, and after that the process is being continued. You know that we add another agent also so as to separate the ore from the gangue particles. The gangue particles it separates at the bottom, and the ore we are getting it at the top, which we remove it mechanically by the help of hand. Got it? So there the pine oil and water you need to understand that is an emulsifying agent, that it forms an oil and what you can say water emulsion, we can say that. Clear? That's another uses in the metallurgical process, we can say that, the Froth flotation process. Then milk, which is an important constituent of a diet, is an emulsion of liquid fat and in water, isn't it? This cream, liquid fat means what? The cream in water. Several oily drugs are prepared in the form of emulsion. Drugs means here medicines. Drugs means I don't mean to say cocaine or brown sugar, it is medicines. Several medicines are there, the oily medicines are there. When you will take the medicines, you will see that it's, we are putting it on the cream, on the skin also we are putting it, and all these things we are doing it. So they are also in the form of emulsion. Certain disinfectants. Now disinfectants is very common, isn't it, nowadays, such as Dettol, then Lysol. They give emulsions of oil in water type. Alright, oil in water type on mixing with water. You are adding Lysol, then Dettol, we are adding it. So that is, you can see it is oily type, you can see it. Alright, so that it forms when you mix it with water. What it forms? It forms oil in water emulsion. The cleansing action of the ordinary soap for washing clothes, crockeries, that it forms what? Oil in water emulsion, isn't it? In TV also you have seen it. Bhim bar they are showing, isn't it? So many, or the Bhim drop they are showing it. You can see it is oily. So oil in water emulsion, that it accents. Okay, so I have told you many examples of, or the many applications of emulsions. Now harmful effects of emulsion is that the formation of emulsions is also harmful for us. Alright. For example, petroleum form emulsions with water. Oil, petroleum is also an oil. It form emulsions with water. So where the petroleum is being found, little bit of also petroleum is being found in a particular area. If the well is being present, of course well will be there, isn't it? Well means for the drinking water, the well we are digging, isn't it? The well is being present. That well water becomes unfit for use. Remember it. If petroleum is being found in that particular area, then the well water becomes unfit for use because it forms oil in water emulsions. For that reason, you must be knowing it, the Middle East countries, they have scarcity for water. Which water? Potable water, drinking water. The reason is this, because they form oil in water emulsions. There are a lot of petroleum wells are there. So the water wells becomes unfit for consumption. Got it? The potable water, we can say that. I hope you understood. Now next we will come to the gel. So colloidal system constituting the liquid as a dispersed phase and the solid as the dispersant medium is known as the gel. Liquid as here, that was two liquids in emulsions. Here liquid is a dispersed phase and solid is a dispersant medium. That is called as a gel. That is known as. So many gel we are using in a house, isn't it? So many gel we are using it. And the process is known as gelation. Got it? Jelly, na? Gel means what? The jelly like substance we are getting it, isn't it? Clear? That is said to be as. Clear? So that is called as the gel, we can say that. So now next is, what do you find? The examples is your nothing but, as I said you also, like your ferric hydroxide, the cheese, I can give you the examples. Alright, then there is agar agar, they are coming under it. Some gum also comes under it. They are also gel, we can say that. Now there are two types of gel, elastic gel and the non-elastic gel. Elastic gel means the name itself, it suggests that it possesses elasticity. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Elasticity. That means they change to solid mass on dehydration, because gel, they absorbs water, isn't it? Clear? So they change into solid mass on dehydration. When it loses water, when it gets dehydrated, it changes into solid mass. Got it? Becomes dry, we can say that. But elastic means what? Which can again be converted into gel by addition of water followed by heating and cooling. Got it? Constantly heating and cooling, you can again convert it into a gel. Clear? Okay, so that is known as elastic. On dehydration it loses water, but again on adding water and heating and cooling, if it again converted into a gel, then it's known as elastic. And that elastic gel, that type of gel is called elastic gel. Non-elastic gel means we do not possess the property of elasticity. Means they change into solid mass on dehydration, but what is the difference? They become rigid and hard, and it cannot be converted by adding water into, what you can say, by heating and cooling into again gel. It cannot be converted back. Rather it becomes rigid and hard mass, a rigid mass it becomes. That is known as non-elastic. That is called as non-elastic gel, and the property is called as non-elasticity, which does not show elasticity. So elastic gel, when they are placed in water, they absorb water and swell up. This process is called imbibition. Elastic gel, I said na, you will place into water, again on heating and cooling, again it will form a gel. So that process, on adding into water, it absorbs water and swells up. What is that called as? Imbibition. Examples I said you already: gelatin, agar-agar, starch. You know starch you are putting into clothes, you add starch into water, it swells up. You have seen it. Now non-elastic gel, they do not show the property of imbibition. They do not swell up on addition of water, because they remain hard and they remain rigid. Got it? So hence the example is silicic acid, we can say that. Got it? Now when the gel loses water on standing for a long time, it becomes dehydrated. Got it? It loses the entire liquid held by it. The shrinking of the gel is termed as whipping of the gel, it is known as, or syneresis. It is known as whipping of the gel or syneresis, it is called as. Listen, that particular term, it can come in your exam. What is whipping of gel? When the gel is allowed to stand for a long time, it shrinks and loses the entire liquid held by it. It becomes dehydrated. And that phenomena or process is called as whipping of the gel, we can say that. Or syneresis, Syneresis. Correct. So in this way, another term is also there, that is called as thixotropy. Thixotropy. Now certain gels are there, like gelatin, on mechanical shaking, when mechanically it is being shaken, it loses their semi-solid gel-like character and changes into a liquid colloidal solution. This sole on standing again changes into a gel. Again you keep it on shaking. Got it? It becomes semi-solid, it becomes what you can say colloidal solution. It loses the gel-like character, the semi-solid gel-like character. Gel is, you know that, plasma-like character, we can say that. But on keeping it undisturbed for a long time, got it? So it again becomes gel. So this reversible phenomena involving gel and the sole formation. Sole means what? Colloidal solution. SOL is known as thixotropy. This reversible phenomenon involving gel and sole formation or gel sole transformation is known as thixotropy. Again I repeat, this reversible phenomenon involving gel sole transformation, gel, then you put an hyphen and write sole, SOL, transformation, is known as thixotropy. I hope you understood this. Thixotropy. Now next is application of colloids. If you see, colloids are used in medicines, we can say that. Colloids in most of the just I was talking to you, isn't it, the medicines about colloidal antimony is used for curing Kala Azar, medicine disease was there long back. Milk of magnesia you might be using in your house is an emulsion, which is an antacid for reducing the acidity in the stomach, we can say that. It is used in the food articles, it is used in the fog, mist and the cloud, that is colloidal solution, we can say. Clouds are nothing but aerosols consisting of small droplets, got it, of water surrounded surrounded by what you can say, that is water molecules, we can say that, suspended in the air in the upper atmosphere where the temperature is low. Got it? So they form nothing but aerosols. What is that I said? It's a colloidal solution. Now artificial rain. Now what is artificial rain? Now artificial rain is caused by spraying what you can say oppositely charged colloidal dust on the sand particles over the cloud. Actually what we do is that in helicopter we take, there is fine dust of the sand which is charged for around 30 hours, we can say that. Now this is spread over the cloud. Now cloud also consists of oppositely charged particles, you know that. The cloud water particles present in the cloud get neutralized, got it, and coagulate to form bigger water drops. Got it? Cloud consists of what? Nothing but the water droplets, which is also what you can say charged. When they come closer together, they get neutralized, they coagulate and they form bigger water droplets. Now that bigger water droplets the cloud cannot hold, and it drops in the form of rain, and this particular rain is called as artificial rain. The formation of delta is also one of the examples of colloidal solution, we can say that. The delta consists of the silt and all those things, that is also nothing but oppositely charged particles it contains in clay, sand and many other materials, that is also nothing but known as colloidal particles, we can say that. So next is that is a blue color of the sky, also it is the scattering of the light, that is also nothing but the help of the colloidal solution, we can explain. Then blood, it is also an example of colloidal solution, because it's a colloid solution of albuminoid, and the bleeding when there is some what you can say cut, when there is some wound, the bleeding takes place, isn't it? And the bleeding stops what you can say on applying ferric chloride solution, and the coagulation of the blood or the clotting of the blood takes place. Then the cleansing action of the soap, which is already discussed with you. The sewage disposal, yes, in the cities, what you can say, the drains are being cleared by the help of the colloidal solutions, we can say that. By the help of electrophoresis method it is being done. Got it? The sewage is being dispersed, we can say that. That is, we are taking through drums. Got it? We are putting at the two ends of the that is the drain, we can say the large drain, and we pass electric current into it. But before that, what we do is that we put a powder into the water, into that drain. Got it? That is otherwise known as Drainix powder. We are using in your house also, we can say that. So on putting the Drainix powder into the water, into that drain, what happens is that the colloidal particles get dissociated into its charges, and it is being done overnight. Got it? Throughout the night this process goes on. Next morning the municipality, it comes and they take this particular what you can say the two drums, and they put it at the two ends of that drain, and they pass current through it with the help of battery. So what happens is that this dirt, the grease, whatever is there in the drains which has been collected, got it, they get collected on the two drums, the oppositely charged, and hence the sewage disposal takes place very easily. Got it? The smoke precipitation, yes, the precipitation of the smoke in the factories, got it. The smoke is not the smoke which is allowed to leave the factories, it should not contain of heavy materials, you know that. It should contain the lighter materials, and it should not be what you can say, it should not cause any environmental pollution. So a precipitator is being used, which is known as Cottrell precipitator. Cottrell has prepared this particular precipitator, which is based on the principle of electrophoresis. Got it? The smoke is allowed to pass through the chamber containing of the metal plates, which is charged, and these charged metal plates absorb what you can say the heavy particles which is present in the smoke, and it precipitates at the bottom in the form of ash, we can say that. And the smoke which is released from the chimney, it is free from this heavy particles, the poisonous particles or the particles which causes pollutants, we can say that. Clear? So these are the application of the colloids. Now next we will move to that is nothing but your zeolites, but that we will do in the next part. Thank you.